We're standing on what's known around here as the old Buck Farm. This is 45 acres of the original farm, which was much bigger. This is our herb garden over here. Over there is our fruit garden, which is right now under the snow and under a lot of manure. I've written a new novel called OK for Now. OK for Now is a companion book more than a sequel. You really don't need anything from Wednesday Wars to figure out what's going on in this. Each one is meant to be independent with a crossover of some characters. Wednesday Wars is set in 1967, 1968, and in this book it follows the next year, 68, 69. The book follows Doug Swiatek. Doug is struggling with a new place. He is the new kid in town, and all the things that that means. He has no friends there yet. He's very concerned about school, going into 8th grade, has a family which is exploding, has a brother who's fighting in Vietnam. He's in a place where he is very, very uncomfortable. What Doug wants to do in the novel is to find the 9 plates that are missing from this original Audubon volume and bring them back. And in that sense, the novel is really about wholeness. Can he bring it back, all those plates back, so that he will have a whole Audubon book and be perfect? That mirrors his desire to become a whole person and reflects some of the, I think, themes of the book in that sense. In addition, it's about a time when the country's at war. It's a war which seems intractable and unending. It's a war which seems to be against not just a nation, but a kind of movement. And in many ways, that's where our middle school kids are right now. OK for Now has the added thing going on of the space shot. In the midst of that craziness, this amazingly noble experiment. I mean, can we do it? This is a different kind of survivor novel. How do you survive in a hostile place? And certainly there are kids who live like that, either in their home or in their school environment. It seems to me that it's important to write books that tell those kids' stories as well. Before anything else, a book has to be a good story. You have to get the reader to say, what happens next? Or you get the reader to say, I can hardly wait to turn the page. I mean, that's the big thing. Writing is wonderful. It's a huge part of my life, and it is a great joy to me, and I feel it invigorates me. The more difficult thing is to figure out how the writing can fit into the cracks of all the business of your life. And I've run out of things to say.
worth preserving at any cost.
Dad, what's the IW?
It stands for Impassable Wilderness.
Why doesn't anyone live there?
When the settlers first came to the area, no one wanted to build their houses there. The forest was too deep and the hills were too steep. The place over time just became more overgrown and more inhospitable. And so it was named the Impassable Wilderness, and everybody knew to steer clear. And I don't ever want you to go in there. You hear me, kid?
Yeah, I hear you.
I'm serious.
like Diary of a Wimpy Kid, then you will love this next book, Milo, Sticky Notes, and Brain Freeze by Alan Silberberg, because this book also has hilarious stick figure cartoons. 12-year-old Milo is a geeky A1 klutz king who is good at the one thing he hates most, moving. By 7th grade, he has lived in 5 different houses and gone to 5 different schools. Now in a new town and a new school, once again, his life pretty much stinks. He has 2 friends, both by default, Marshall, the one-eyed Jack, only because they sit together on the bus, and Hillary, the girl who leaves him purple sticky notes on his locker, only because she lives next door. Otherwise, Milo is a pretty normal kid who has trouble with math, likes to wear hooded sweatshirts because he can feel invisible, and has a crush on Summer, the prettiest and most popular girl at school. Of course, Summer doesn't even know he exists, but that doesn't stop Milo from riding his bike up and down her front house or setting her valentines. But Milo also has his quirks, like eating Cheerios one at a time, a bad habit that sometimes makes him late for school. As the story unfolds, Milo's life will change as his new friends help him live with the sadness in his life. You will love Milo, and you will love this book. I promise you that you will definitely laugh, and you might even cry. But at the end of the book, you will let out a nice, happy sigh.
This book in particular is very important to me. Whenever I do school visits, I talk to kids and they always ask, what's your favorite book? And that's sort of a dangerous and personal question, sort of like asking a parent about a favorite child. But for books, I can answer it. And I can say it's definitely the notorious Benedict Arnold. And I think it's because it's such a long road getting to the point of having this book in existence. I'll give you a very short version of that road. But it goes back over 12 years, I think, to when I was a textbook writer. And I was always trying to get Arnold into textbooks. And the editors were always taking him back out again. And I remember asking why, and I remember an editor telling me it's because Benedict Arnold makes people nervous. And I thought, that's why I want him in. That's what makes him great. He made Washington nervous. He made Congress nervous. I think he was sort of like an original American loose cannon action hero, but 200 years before Hollywood thought of the genre. And that's why I think he'd be so cool as a tool for teaching kids that history is actually fun, but apparently not in textbooks. So, all right, what am I going to do with this great story that I had become obsessed with? Reading everything I could read, taking notes. At first I was going to write a novel, then it was going to be a graphic novel, then it was going to be some kind of sprawling epic screenplay for a movie. And the longer I worked on it, and this is many years, the weirder and more pretentious and less publishable it became. But what saved me from this crazy obsession was nonfiction for teens. And it's because I was sitting in my office, this is maybe 4 years ago now, sitting in the office of Roaring Brook and talking with the great editor, Deirdre Langland, that I work with there. And she said to me, we were going over ideas for books, and she just threw this out as one of many. Didn't you want to write something about Benedict Arnold? And I think I played it cool. I said, well, I thought about it. Yeah, I thought about it. And I remember riding the subway home that day, and it all became clear to me. I said, if we're going to do this as a nonfiction for kids, all that pretentious nonsense I was working on goes out the window, and it's just a straight-ahead action-adventure rise and fall story, a real page-turner. And yes, you're going to learn a lot about American history and important people and events, but you're not going to know it until it's too late. You're just going to have fun reading the story, and that's what I tried to do with Arnold, and that's what makes this book so important to me. So thanks a lot. Everyone loves to have their child recognized, and I really appreciate it. Thanks.